Hello everyone, welcome to the Ginger Saps here, where we'll be discussing the Saw franchise for you guys in a very blunt way. Yeah, I mean, very blunt way as in, like, how many months over fucking due to finish this goddamn franchise?
Yeah, we've been 2 months.
Yeah.
We've had...
2 months.
We've had a lot of delays and...
Of course, the Christmas holidays, too.
Yeah, a lot of family get-togethers, so it's been long overdue.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, since it's been long overdue, the last review you guys already know we've done was Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter. So it's only fitting that we start back up with this whole Saw franchise with the release and our review for Jigsaw, which was released in 2017 and was directed by the Spirit Brothers. So after a 7-year hiatus with the Saw franchise and being true to their word that, Saw 3D was the final chapter, it only seemed fitting that we got another Saw film because of the fact that, it's been 7 years and we saw how many terrible Paranormal Activity movies coming out. Yeah, I can't believe that became the replacement. But now it was time for a new Saw film to come out, which was called Jigsaw. So leading up to when this movie was being released, you being the big Saw fan, what were your initial thoughts going into it?
Going into it, I actually had some hopes. I heard that this is a soft reboot, but it was also going to be following the events of Saw 3D, so I was kind of curious what they were meaning by that. Based on the trailers, I was very optimistic because from a visual standpoint, I was like, wow, this is the best looking Saw movie to date.
Yeah, it had like a bigger budget.
After seeing the movie, I still stand by that. Visually, this is a very impressive looking Saw film. But that's my one of only few positives.
Yeah, when this movie came out, it's very obvious that a lot of people had negative feedback when it came to this film. And a lot of people say it's one of the worst in the franchise or one of the most unnecessary in the franchise. So we're going to get into this review for Jigsaw.
Basically, here in Jigsaw, it's been 10 years later since the events of the final chapter. And we have a...
No, not 10 years after the final chapter. It's been 10 years since John Kramer's death. So that would mark it as like...
From a filming standpoint, you are correct. Like, it's been 7 years later.
Yeah.
But in terms of the storyline, yes, it's been 10 years.
10 years since John Kramer's death.
Yes.
Yeah.
On a storyline standpoint, 10 years. But theatrical-wise, yes, 7. Having said that, yeah, it's 10 years since his death. It's a new game. Obviously, we now know at some point it's not Jigsaw doing this game. It's someone else doing it because he's dead.
Yeah, he's been dead since Saw 3.
So, basically, it's who's the new killer, or who is doing the games, where is the game taking place, who are these people, and like most of these games, they all have a common theme. What's the theme?
Well, that's the thing about this movie is when it comes to its story, it doesn't really... I mean, like...
I don't mind. I can go there if you really want me to. So I'll just say it.
Yeah, go
I'll
there.
just say it. So yeah, I'll mention it because this movie does its twist in a weird way. So going into this film, it's like, okay, it's clearly a soft reboot sequel, but the twist is during the whole game, this is a prequel. This is way before the events of Saw,
which makes no fucking sense, which I will bring up when it comes to the inconsistencies of this fucking movie being a soft reboot or a prequel. I mean, when it comes to a soft reboot, it doesn't even do it. It really doesn't.
It does some things,
but not glaringly obvious. It's just like, okay, this seems like it's just a sequel.
Okay, you know what? Well,
there's definitely a movie in this fucking franchise that has done a soft reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not the movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do this. What do you like about Jigsaw?
Well, from the certain aspect of the fact that we got to see Saw come back, we saw Billy, John Kramer, and all of them come back. The story itself, you know, a copycat. There's got to be someone who's, you know, doing these acts that are so similar to John Kramer, which is like, okay, so 10 years came by, right? Blew by. So that means that gave someone the inspiration to be a new Jigsaw killer. Especially when we do have one of the characters in this movie that is someone who's regularly visiting this one site called Jigsaw Rules, some fan page, who we end up seeing in her fucking apartment. She has all these fucking traps. Yeah. And it's like, how the fuck did you get that? Anywho, when it comes to that kind of story, it's interesting. It's kind of ballsy going that way, I guess you could say. But when you progress into the whole entire movie, it then falls apart. It's like, wait, what are you trying to go with this story?
Okay. So it's safe to say the first half of the movie, you're hooked.
You're hooked with the first half of the movie, but then after that, it just, you know, fucking falls flat on its face. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. That
kind of aspect. So when you think of the story, do you think the same thing?
You know what? I'm just going to be honest. This was not a necessary movie. This movie did not need to be made. Like, no. Obviously, like, yeah, I'm happy they did it, but it's like, did we really need this? No.
No, we could have lived without this film.
Now, one of my favorite things about this film was, like I said, going in at the time, not anymore because of the newer films, but this was one of the best looking Saw films to date. Having said that, though, I did point it out to you, if you remember, when we saw this in theaters, there's a glaring audio issue.
Yeah, what scene was that again?
So it was during the...
I'm pretty sure you guys even noticed it too. There is a glaring audio problem.
Yeah, there's a scene in which, I forgot the guy's name, but he's basically upside down, and he's going to be in, like, the blender trap.
That one? Yeah. That trap, yeah.
So while that trap is being done, his audio is being played.
Yeah.
Of, like, Play Me from, like, Billy the Puppet and everything. During that whole time, you can't hear the fucking audio because the movie's music kicks in, and you're having the hardest time hearing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I originally thought it was like, okay, this is a theater issue. It's got to be its audio. That's probably better and fixed when you buy it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it was still there.
Because I pointed it out. I'm like, same fucking problem.
And that's also what probably lends to this movie, too, is that there was no thought process with this fucking film. And then even, like, glaringly obvious things like that is like, okay, did you guys even try to attempt to make this movie good?
Yeah.
At all?
Another thing I noticed, this Saw movie definitely had more humor.
Yeah, because it wanted to go back to the 80s when humor and horror blended together, but it doesn't fucking land.
I don't hate it. Well, the guy who does it, he does try to pull it off, but the problem is this is Saw. Saw's not meant to be funny.
Yeah, you're right. So we do get this new character who is the morgue assistant, I guess you could say?
Yeah. I
can never remember his fucking name. By the way, just letting you guys know that this movie is very forgettable.
Yeah, no.
Like, after rewatching it, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened.
It's not the most memorable Saw film, I can admit that.
Mm-hmm. But we get introduced to his character, who has a daughter.
Yep.
Wife died. Has a problem with Halloran, this asshole fucking cop, crooked cop.
He also has an ex-military background, so he's got PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD problems, and he's just, solving all these fucking cases of all these Jigsaw murders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not at all very obvious that he's a fucking protege of Jigsaw.
Well,
or he's the copycat killer.
I think the movie tries to hide that it's being rushed. Like, this film kind of screams to me like they were in a hurry to shoot this film and be like, let's release it in time for Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. Like, a lot of, when it comes to all the character developments, like, again, this is another movie where, funny enough, you rely, like, what did Saws 4, 5, 6, and 7 all have that kind of made it good for the movies, even though some of them were shit? The flashbacks with John Kramer.
To an extent, yes.
This one, what we don't know, was a flashback. But at the time when we saw it in theaters, we're like, what? Because the twist that originally we thought was John Kramer was alive. Because when he pulls that fucking hoodie off, and you and me both were like, what?
Like, how the fuck is he alive?
Hey, how is he alive?
Then I clued in. I'm like, oh, this is a prequel.
Yeah, which, you know, fuck. Again, I'll get to that. But when it comes to this movie's characters,
do you like any of them?
no. Not even the comic relief. I mean, the chick was hot. Redhead is into fucking, like, murder cases? Yeah, fuck yeah. But to an extent, the main character, I guess you could say.
The main antagonist?
The main protagonist that becomes the antagonist. Like, he's interesting too, but then we realize that, you know, we're 2 movies after this one and we don't even get a mention of him. I mean, rightfully so. But just the fact that no one even wants him back as a character. Because it's bullshit.
Well,
how is this guy the main side guy before Gordon?
That's not true, because if they ever go back to doing this storyline and they decide, hey, we're going to do a sequel to Jigsaw, they have to. Otherwise, plot-wise, now it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? A prequel to Jigsaw? What are you going to call that now?
I know the subtitle would be I Speak for the Dead. I mean, fucking stupid quote.
No, see, I don't... I guess we're going to go to the negatives. I feel like we already are there. But, like...
in terms of characters, like...
I don't hate him.
Okay.
You know what I do hate, though? I don't even hate how he finishes the movie and everything.
Okay.
Like, I know you had a grudge with that, because it wasn't the line. My only
Game
issue,
over, yeah, fuck you.
My only issue was the final trap relying on CGI.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't good CGI either.
No, it was, like...
He literally opened up...
PlayStation 4 graphics.
He literally opened up like a fucking...
flower.
Yeah, like a flower. And then the sound effect that they added in, it's like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, like, even when it comes to the body and being able to have it cut in that way, it wouldn't flop open like that.
No, it wouldn't.
The skull would literally just fall out.
Yeah.
And everything. But, yeah, when it comes to this movie's characters... none of them really likable. Most of them are... Well, would you say all these characters, like the characters that we see in the traps, are more forgettable than Saw 5's? Or Saw 4?
Not Saw 4. I would say not Saw 4.
Would you say?
No, you know what? I would say this is easily the more forgettable one. Because, at least in Saw 5, you saw the 2 characters, I hate defending it, but you at least see 2 of the returning characters of the survivors during the circle, like the little talk in Saw the final chapter.
Yeah.
Nothing. There was not, mind you, they all die.
Yeah, that's true. They
all the survivors here die.
Yeah, all the survivors in this movie die.
So that's why they're not memorable.
Yeah, probably.
You're not going to remember a dead person.
Yeah, true. I mean, what? You're not going to remember a dead person. A lot of horror movies you do tend to remember.
Who goes to funerals? That's overrated.
Fuck it.
Well, let's go to the traps. So,
you're going to have to fill me in because I've literally forgot half of them.
So, basically all of the players wake up in the room with like the buckets on their head.
Yeah.
And then when the game begins, they're chained up basically around their neck, and they're going towards the door that has
all the saws.
Yeah, saw blades and everything.
Oh man! Again, there's a glaring fucking false thing there when you find out that this is a prequel.
Okay, but do you like that trap? Now, granted, do you remember how they get out?
Yeah, they just literally have to sacrifice just the smallest amount of blood. Like one girl, she gets her arm cut, and the other guy gets his finger. Which, by the way, ballsy, because if he fucking got tugged a little bit harder, he would have lost a fucking digit.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But that trap reminded me of the trap from 5, with the collars and the fucking the very cliche V-shaped blades. You know, from Saw 5 has to be a V. But that was the one thing that was like, so that's kind of almost like a pointless. That's almost like a give me. Like, here, I'm gonna make this easy for you.
But they're not out because, all right, let's say you cut your.
Yeah, the fact that it does continue.
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit better.
It temporarily stops, and then it plays again, and then it's like, all right, now it's leading up. So now they're gonna get hung, unless what happens is.
What was it again? Well, why was it that they had to do in order to not hang again? Wasn't it they had to do something?
So the
with
one,
some of the
one player, the girl who stole, it was like.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right.
She there's 3 needles that came down.
Yeah.
One was assailant. One was
assailant. One was acid.
Yeah, thank you. How the fuck did I
What was the third one? I think it was just water.
No.
A placebo.
So one was like a saline, one was acid, and then the other one was like a cure for like a slow-acting poison that they're all breathing in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have that one was a cure.
And the only way to know which one was the correct one was to look at the numbers. And the only one that will understand the number was the girl that stole money.
Because it had the amount of change of how much was a life. Yeah, how much was a life worth to you? Wasn't it like $1 or something?
I think it was like $3.58. I can't remember. I think it's $3.
But yeah, it doesn't
58 cents.
Yeah, the guy he's trying to tell her like which one is it, and she even points it out. It's like, okay, that's the one.
She still doesn't pick it, so it's like,
okay,
so you're stupid.
Fuck it,
so
and
you're stupid.
Stabs her with the whole thing.
I don't blame him.
They'd say that we're gonna die because you don't want to fucking pick.
Yeah. So then after that trap.
Wasn't this the one where it's the dumb fucking trap?
Yeah, there is a dumb fucking trap.
This is that one, isn't it?
Before that. So what happens is the guy sees the exit, and it's like, obviously you can't get through this exit. He accidentally fucks up by trying to get through it.
Yeah, well, if they learn from Saw 2, don't use this key to enter this to leave this room.
His foot gets trapped in this snare, and it's got like all those. I said
violin, piano wire?
Piano wire.
No, it's a certain type of wire that is, like, piano wire essentially would just snap at some point.
Yeah.
That was, like, some high-density kind of, like, metal wiring that's obviously, like, it's almost like, spoiler alert, it's kind of almost like the Geely saw from Saw X, but, like, weaker.
Yeah, because it can tighten up.
Yeah.
But if it was the Geely saw, the minute it tightens up, she'd be already bleeding.
Yeah. So he fucks up, and basically, I remember you pointing this out. So how the fuck did Jigsaw know he was gonna be the one that fucks up and tries to break the rules?
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand either.
Like, how did he fucking know?
Because the minute when that happens, it even plays his name and everything. And I was like,
oh yeah, by the way, this is supposed to take place before Saw. First film.
Yeah.
That's why we have flat screen TVs in 2004.
Yeah, you pointed that out.
Yeah. Flat screen TVs. Oh yeah, and we see Billy with LED fucking eyes.
Yeah. But don't worry, Steven. The worst
where
trap...
Where were the other Billies with those?
The worst trap comes immediately after.
Yeah.
Which is, they call it the silo trap.
The silo trap.
Where they both get trapped in the silo, and then...
Grain.
Grain falls down, and it's like, oh, okay, they're like stuck in the grain.
Which is not fucking legit. Like, you couldn't get stuck in that.
And then it's like, okay, now all these random things are falling down.
Saw blades,
you got
butcher
saw
knives,
blades,
pitchforks, all that shit.
Little needles, little everything.
Yeah.
And then I pointed it out. I'm like, all right, if they didn't want to die in that, you know what they could have done? Hey, one of those saw blades.
True, yeah.
Can't hit me.
But
they don't think.
Well, it doesn't even matter, Justin, because none of those weapons even come close to hitting them or even nicking them at all. It's like, wow.
Oh, no. What are you talking about? Because when they get out of the trap because the guy sacrifices his leg.
Yeah.
What happens when...
Oh, she almost falls into the pitchfork.
Yeah, and then, oh my god, 3D effect there, even though it's not in 3D.
Yeah, it wasn't even 3D.
Yeah.
But that was, like, after the trap was over.
Yeah.
Not during. Like,
so then after that trap, we get the, I call it the blender trap. I don't know if that's the proper name.
I don't know what the name of that thing is, but apparently, like that girl says, this was allegedly a trap that was never used.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, we're seeing it used, and for some odd reason, for a trap that looks that grand, it's like, wow, the payoff kind of sucks.
And you know what? I even pointed out to you, I'm like, there's a simpler way for him to get out of that too.
What was it again?
Because you know how it's like the guy who's in the trap.
Yeah, he's got to reach down.
He has to reach down and just pull onto the motorcycle brakes.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh, okay. Literally thin your body out. What you do is you cross your legs like this, straighten it out, and then do that. You get super thin.
Yeah, full visual, guys.
You get super thin.
Yeah.
And then with that, you just, go for the fucking brakes.
But he was doing this, like he hunched his shoulders, and then he's doing
but
this.
then but you want to know, when he got hit, do you not realize he
reacted? It was his elbow. Yeah,
because
he instantly
did
reacted.
That, and he's got a part that's sticking out.
Yeah, and he fucking just spins around like a goddamn frog in a blender.
Yeah, because now he's in pain, and then when he is
now
in
he's
pain,
panicking and
he's flailing.
Yeah, he fucked himself.
Yeah,
in more ways than one. So that trap was basically like that wasn't really that impressive. Then there's the trap where we see Jigsaw.
Yeah.
I do like that one part though where he literally has a fucking key and he's like, no, he has a shotgun shell or is it a key? No, there's a shell. And he says, "Here's your key to freedom."
Yeah.
So tongue in cheek about it. Here's your key to freedom, and it's just like, okay, puts in the double barrel shotgun, and of course they're not thinking straight because he's very cryptic.
They don't know that.
It's like you guys have this backwards, and it's like, didn't you kind of point it out to me in the theater at that time? You're like, it's gonna shoot backwards, and I was like, what? Yeah, and I was like, what do you mean? And boom, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because of how subtle he was talking about it and everything, I'm like, it's gonna backfire somehow, and then no shit, it backfires.
Oh, well, there is one trap that we see that Jigsaw's kind of working on. Yeah. We never see that trap.
No.
It's like, oh, gee, I wonder what that trap was.
Saving for the sequel.
The sequel that never happened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have the final trap, which, okay, now it's 2017, but we don't have that technology. You know that collar essentially has lightsabers on it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, it's a laser cutter, but
we don't even have those in real life. We don't.
Not to that design.
No, we don't.
What the fuck?
And yeah, like we already said that kill is not realistic at all. But it's also just the fact that it's like, okay, so it's a blackmail type trap.
Yeah.
It's just for that, and then we get to finally learn that the guy that we've been rooting for this whole time is actually Jigsaw's accomplice, who was never mentioned in any of the other Saw films, because this is a prequel.
But hey, we needed this film because why not?
Money. That's why. Okay. So above all else, when it comes to the twist, the traps, the characters, The story is the only thing that is kind of intriguing. But when it comes to the characters, it comes to the twist, it comes to the traps. This movie is very much forgettable when it comes to that aspect. And like you've already said, this movie is not necessary. This movie did not need to be made.
No.
After rewatching it, do you still feel the same?
Yeah.
Would you say this is one of your least favorite?
Of all time, it's not high on my list, but I don't hate this film.
What's your biggest positive?
I would say...
Don't lie, it's Tobin Bell.
But he's not even in it much.
Yeah, for a whole 3 minutes.
I would say,
that's a cameo.
Honestly, I would say it's the best-looking soft film.
Best-looking soft film.
It still is one of the best-looking soft films. But
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. That's probably one of my only good things to say.
Yeah. For me, it's basically like the only good thing I could probably say was that, well, I mean, it was made, you know, it got me intrigued. It got us both intrigued. It made us go like, oh shit, why is Jigsaw still alive? How is this possible? Just to find out that, no, this movie kind of decided to go prequel route, and it's like, the only positive I could probably say about this movie is that when it first hooks you, it hooks you.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, everything just kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, like echoing what you said, this movie is very forgettable.
Well, out of 10, what would you give it?
This movie I'd give... honestly, because of how like forgettable it is, I'd give it a 2. A 2 out of 10.
That's almost like I hate this low.
It's not really like I hate this low. This is more like okay, there's some positives here and there, sure. But other than that, the fact that this movie is like it's forgettable, and it's like, was this necessary? No, not really. The payoff wasn't worth it. It's like, yeah, it's a 2.
I give it, I'm a little bit more fair. I give it a 5.
Okay, a 5.
It's a mediocre film. It's an average film.
But it's also the 8th film in your franchise.
Yeah.
In your favorite franchise.
Yep. But it's not the worst.
No, we're going to get to that one.
No, we already went to that.
So, guys, that's been our review for Jigsaw. What did you guys think of Jigsaw when you first saw it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, also give it a thumbs up and also subscribe for more content. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you get notified about all the other videos coming out on this channel. Anyways, guys, that's it from us. So, this has been the Ginger Snaps here. I'm Steven Harrold.
And this is Justin Harrold.
And we will talk to you guys later in the next video, where we will be giving you guys our review for Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I'm sorry. Halloween 3, Spiral from the Book of Saw. Right? At least I got it right. Live or die. Choice is yours.